Is 2018 the year for you? Is this the year that your self-storage business takes off? Well, I'm going to share with you a lot about what our self-storage business is doing, how to get in the self-storage business, all the ins and outs of knowing what to do, where to look, how much to bid. We'll go over all of that this year. But I'm here to tell you that none of that will make any bit of difference at all if you have a weak relationship to success and making money. Let's talk about that right now. My name's Mark Helm, and I'm the author of Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage. And starting mid-January 2018, there will be a group coaching program designed to, no matter where you are in your self-storage business, even if you're at square zero, this program will help take you from where you are right now to, by the end of the year, being in the self-storage business if you want to be in it. So to find out more about it, go to creatingwealththroughselfstorage.com/group coaching 2018. Now, I know I may sound like a broken record, and I've talked about it a lot, but your relationship to success and your relationship to making money has everything to do with how successful you are. Look, 80 to 90% of what makes you successful is not knowing what to do. I can have two people right next to each other, same market, same everything. They each do the exact same things. One's going to make it, one's not going to make it. Why? Well, because there's a lot more to being successful than just knowing what to do. And one of the primary drivers, one of the primary indicators of how successful someone's going to be is their relationship to being successful and their relationship to making money. Now, I know the knee-jerk reaction you have right now is, I know that, and it doesn't apply to me. How do I know that? Because that's my knee-jerk reaction. But consider it does. I mean, really take it on and own it. Look, I know if you're reading this or if you're watching this video, you have had success. You wouldn't be here if you hadn't. But that doesn't mean you have a powerful relationship to being successful and to making money. We all have a weak relationship to it, or most of us have a weak relationship to it. Look, it's not even personal to you. You were born into it. You have probably never had an original thought in your life. In other words, almost every thought you have ever had has been had before, over and over and over again, generations and generations. Look, we're born into different conversations. We're born into a social conversation. We're born into a cultural conversation. We're born into a religious conversation. And we're born into a conversation that's already there about being successful and making money. We're born into it. We inherit those conversations. We inherit those thoughts. They occur personal to us, like we're thinking them, but they're not. The thoughts you're having or the belief systems that are driving you, that are in the background of your life, were there before you were born, and they will be there after you're born. You just inherited them. And most of them are probably not even fully distinguished and fully fleshed out. So what does it look like? Well, when it comes down to a systematic step-by-step approach to making money or being successful or generating wealth, which in our case is in the self-storage business, what will happen is something will pop up. Our loan won't get approved. We don't get approval for our projects. The market turns. So-and-so did this. And what happens is whatever needs to happen to thwart the efforts that we're making forward will pop up and get in our way of making money and being successful. And we blame it on the bank. We blame it on the market. We blame it on so-and-so. And that's valid. That is a truly valid conversation to have. But here's what I'd like for you to think about. If you've been frustrated, if you've tried to get into self-storage business, or you've tried to grow your self-storage business, or you've tried to do a deal and you've been frustrated and stopped, How did that make you feel? That feeling is probably a very familiar feeling. Now, it is a very valid conversation to say the bank didn't approve me, or I didn't get the approvals, or whatever thwarts you and gets in your way. It's valid. The problem is there's just no power in that conversation. Why? Well, because I'm a victim of the bank, or I'm a victim of the market, or I'm a victim of so-and-so. That's a conversation that we're born into, that we inherited. It just has no power. I'm interested in creating conversations and living into conversations that give me power and support me in what I'm up to. And what I'm up to is creating wealth and growing a business in the self-storage industry. Now look, it's not like I have this handled either. In 2017, I was going to put $30 million worth of product into service, and we put in 5. So it's not like I'm on top of this game either. But for me, 2018 is a line in the sand. And I am no longer going to be a victim of my own thinking and of the market and of the lending conditions that are out there. I'm taking 100% responsibility for the success of my storage company, and I invite you to do the same thing. See, by taking on that my relationship to success and creating wealth is not as powerful as it needs to be, by really taking that on and not blaming it on something else out there, what that does is it puts me in control of what's going to happen, and it creates like a door on a wall that wasn't there before. It creates the possibility of being successful in creating true wealth that wasn't there before this episode started. Why? Well, because before this episode, we were victims of whatever was thwarting us in getting in the self-storage business. Now, you've heard me say this, I'm going to say it again. I'm really not interested in if that's true or not, if that's really right or not. It's valid to say that the market's, changing and that the bank didn't approve me and that's why I didn't get in. I'm sure that's true. That's valid. And it might be weird to say that I'm responsible for my own success, regardless of what the market is doing, regardless of what the lender does. I'm just not interested in what's true in this case, in this context. What I'm interested in is what gives me power. And what gives me power is to be 100% accountable and responsible for what happens to myself, my life, and my self-storage business. I invite you to create that as a place to stand, because then as you deal with what are the disempowering beliefs in relationship to success and money you have, you're standing in a very powerful place and you will approach it very differently. If you're looking for the truth is truly successful people, the very wealthy, they think differently than other people think. Now, no, just making a lot of money doesn't make you successful and make you prosperous. I'm talking about the whole package. People who have true wealth and live into a powerful life think differently than most of us. Let's start exploring and looking at what it takes to think like that. Then if you're thinking like that, if that's the context from which we do all the stuff we're going to learn or that you already know about getting in the self-storage business, that creates a possibility for success that wasn't there before. We've all heard stories of people who've won the lottery and then very soon they're as poor as they were or probably even worse off. Have you made lots of money in your life and lost lots of money in your life? How is that done? That's done by having a consciousness, a belief system that allows you to keep the good that comes to you from life. Look, the universe can do no more for you than it can do through you. The extent that success shows up in your life is 100% correlated to your thinking. You see, the currency of a successful mind is new ideas and self-worth. Let's take 2018 and make this the year that our lives and our businesses change. And how do we do that? Well, let's approach it from two directions. First, what disempowering conversations did you hear growing up about success and money? And you probably don't have to dig very deep. We've all heard them. And we heard them young. And we heard them from people who are a big influence on our lives. What are some of the disempowering things you heard that are right there for you? How about the root of all evil is money? It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich person to get into heaven. Rich people have probably ripped someone off or stolen or bad people to have that much money. Now, intellectually, we get that, no, that's taken out of context, or that it's not bad to have lots of money and be successful. Intellectually, we can say that. But what's really right there, undistinguished, is all the disempowering conversations that we were born into around success and money. And here's what I've learned. When there is an undistinguished conversation in the background, that totally controls what's possible in the foreground. Until those conversations are flushed out and distinguished, they control what's possible for you in your life and you in your business. So what are some of those disempowering beliefs that you have heard and you grew up with? Now, they came from our parents, they came from our church. That doesn't mean that the church is bad or our parents were bad. They were born into the same conversation we're born into. We're just now taking responsibility for our lives and taking responsibility for our businesses and deciding what we're going to accept as our belief systems. That's the beauty and the power of being a human being, is whatever you create is true for you. Think about it. As a child or a young person, you heard disempowering conversations around being successful and money, and it's totally controlled what's possible in your life up until this point. That's pretty cool. That's pretty powerful. And now we're taking responsibility and taking control over that. And whatever you create, again, I'm not interested in whether it's true or not. I'm interested in what gives me power, and what gives you power, and create something that gives you power. Now, in episode 143 at Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage, in the written section of this, the transcript of this video, there will be some workspaces to actually distinguish what are the conversations that you've had and what are some of the conversations that you can create to replace it. If you really want to go deep into this, last year at the beginning of the year, there was a True Wealth series, episodes 93 through 96, and there were a lot of handouts in those episodes that really go deep into distinguishing some of the disempowering conversations. If you would want to go deep into that, which I suggest if you haven't done this work, go to episodes 93 through 96 at the YouTube channel or at creatingwealththroughselfstorage.com in the blog section. And you can do a lot of the work that will allow you to see what are the disempowering beliefs you have, and it gives you the opportunity to create and replace those beliefs with belief systems that empower you. So if you could create anything, what would you create? That's what successful people do. That's how we allow the universe or life or God to do more through us. Create a belief system that empowers you in what you're up to for your self-storage business in this coming year. Now, how does just creating a belief system, saying something, writing it down, how does that actually come alive and make a difference in your life? Well, you've got to keep it alive. You've got to keep it in front of you and consciously make that part of who you are as a person. So for myself, in my morning routine, I say out loud every day what I've created for myself in my life that I want to filter my business through in 2018. I just keep it alive. Keep it alive, stay present to it, and keep it in your life long enough. It replaces what was there in the past that just was put there by the mere fact that you were born into those conversations. Now, here's a tip. When we create something new for ourselves in our lives, like a new possibility, a new belief system, a new vision to live into for ourselves and our company, what immediately shows up in the world is not that. What immediately shows up in the world is the gap between what we're creating and what's so. And here's the tip. Successful people, people who create true prosperity and true wealth, they find their fulfillment, they find their self-expression living into that gap, closing that gap. They don't run from the gap, they move into the gap and find their fulfillment and self-expression. They're closing that gap between what they've created for their life and what's showing up in the world. Who was it that said, don't judge by appearances? Well, don't judge your life and your self-storage business by appearances. And guess what happens when they close that gap? Something new gets created and a new gap emerges. And once again, you live into that gap. Now that's a powerful way to go through life. That's a powerful way to create a self-storage business. That's who I'm going to be relating to you as in this calendar year of 2018. If you took on 2018 with this mindset, and you did this type work, as well as learn all the things you've got to learn to be in the self-storage business, what really could be possible for you this year? Anything you create. And I look forward to seeing and hearing what you're creating for yourself in your life in this year. So any ideas, any thoughts, share them here below in the comment section. I look forward to hearing what you are creating for yourself and your business. And remember, if you feel like being part of a group and getting some one-on-one coaching and getting coaching from other people who may be a little further along than you are, if you feel like getting that deep a level of support would help you achieve what you want to achieve in the self-storage business in 2018, I invite you to go check out the group coaching and see if that's something that really could support you. It's a limited number of people because there'll be a lot of one-on-one, so it's not going to be a very big group, but the group will be organized in a way that I will be able to work with you as well as other people will support you. Go to creatingwealththroughselfstorage.com/group coaching 2018. Thank you very much, and I look forward to working with you in 2018.